So a fraction has a numerator over a denominator. One way that I like to remember this is that this is down, which is what the D stands for. And then since I know the denominator is down, the numerator is above. So a fraction can look like this, where we have 1/4. It can also look like 1/2 or 3/4 or 6/7. Simplified fractions live in between integers. And what integers are perfect numbers. Like let's take 0 and 1. What is in between 0 and 1? Well, halfway between 0 and 1 would be 1/2. And halfway to 1/2 is 1/4 of the whole. So then over here, it would be 3/4. And notice we have 4 spaces. We can divide this up even further. We can say this is 1/8. And this right here would be 2/8, 3/8. This is also the same as saying 2/4, 4/8. So essentially, fractions live in between integers. One way that we can visualize fractions is, let's say we have a square, and inside of this square is 4 smaller squares. If I were to look at just this one square, that is 1/4 of the whole square. And then I have 3 more squares, and I'm doing groups of 4. So I have one group and not a whole group. This is one group. I have 3/4 of a group here. So essentially I get a fraction of 1 3/4. Can you think of any other applications, real or abstract, that have this same idea? Another thing could be, let's say we have pies. And the purple represents slices. But over here, I only have 3 slices, so this part is empty. Right? We have 1 pie and 3/4 of a pie. Another really awesome example is that $1 has 4 quarters. Quarters being 25 cents. So that is also why we call them quarters, because, right, we have 1/4, 2/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. This makes 25 cents. This makes 50 cents. 75 cents, and that makes $1. So if we have 1 3/4, to turn this into an improper fraction. So this is a mixed fraction. And an improper fraction is where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. To an improper fraction, we're going to do 1 times 4 plus 3. So 1 times 4 plus 3 is going to be my numerator, and 4 is going to stay my denominator. So if we do 1 times 4 plus 3, we get 7, and then 4 is going to stay my denominator, so then we get 7/4. This is the same thing as 1 3/4, it's just they're written differently. Alright, so fractions are also like division problems, but frozen in time. What I mean by that is we can have fractions like, let's do 8/4. If we have 2 pies, but we have 8 slices, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many pies do I have? We have 2 pies. This is the same thing as 8 divided by 4, which is 2. Another way of looking at this is if we have 8 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we group them in groups of 4, here's one group of 4, and another group of 4, then we have 2 groups, which is our answer. Sometimes I'm going to have fractions that can be simplified, and basically what simplified means is to get a fraction in its simplest form, we have to make sure that we cannot divide it any further. And what I mean by that is here we have 2 even numbers, and 2 can be divided by 2, and 4 can be divided by 2. So what we can do is we can break this down and turn it into 1/2. But what we do to the top, we also do to the bottom. So if we have 3/15, we know we can divide the top by 3 and we can divide the bottom by 3, but they have to be the same. And what we do to the top, we must do to the bottom, so then this becomes 1/5. Now, we can divide this by 1, and we can divide this by 1. However, we just get the same thing. What if we tried dividing it by 2? well, this poses a problem. So this is our final answer. And the same thing happens here. There are a few other tricky situations. One of them is we can have a situation where the numerator equals the denominator, and when they are the same, it equals 1. No matter what number that you have there, it's always going to equal 1. So let's make a heart over a heart. And what this heart is, it's any number. It can be literally any number that you want to cook up. But the heart equals the heart. They're the same thing. So my answer is 1. But if I have 5 over 1, then my answer is 5. So if I have a heart over 1, and heart represents any number that you want, then I'm going to get heart. So the reason for this is, well, if we do the division way of fractions, 5 divided by 1 is 5, and heart divided by 1 is heart. And if we look up here, 5 divided by 5, if we have 5 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're making a group of 5, we only have one group. This looks just like a cookie. Same thing here. As always, here are some practice problems for you guys to work on, and the answers will be at the end of the video.